Tom, Canto 9, Chapter 20, and Text 27. Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushmanta, bound 3,300 horses for those sacrifices, and thus he astonished all other kings. He surpassed even the opulence of the demigods, for he achieved the supreme spiritual master, Hari, meaning Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One who achieves the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God certainly surpasses all material wealth. Even that of the demigods in the heavenly planets. Yam Ladva Chakram Labam Manyate Nadikam Tata. The achievement of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most exalted achievement in life. Text 28. Second. Text 23. When Maharaj Bharata performed the sacrifice known as Masnara, or a sacrifice in the place known as Masnara, he gave in charity 14 lakhs of excellent elephants with white tusks and black bodies, completely covered with golden ornaments. Wow, that is amazing. Text 29. Second. As one cannot approach the heavenly planets simply by the strength of his arms, for who can touch the heavenly planets with his hands? One cannot imitate the wonderful activities of Maharaj Bharata. No one could perform such activities in the past, nor will anyone be able to do so in the future. Text number 30. When Maharaj Bharata was on tour, he defeated or killed all the Kiratas, Kunas, Yavanas, Pondras, Kankas, Kasas, Sakas, and the kings who were opposed to the Vedic principles of Brahminical culture. Text 31. Formerly, after conquering the demigods, all the demons had taken shelter in the lower planetary system known as Rasatala, and had brought all the wives and daughters of the demigods there also. Maharaja Bharata, however, rescued all those women along with their associates from the clutches of the demons, and he returned them to the demigods. Oh, well, that's good news. 32. Maharaja Bharata provided all necessities for his subjects, both on this earth and in the heavenly planets. For 27,000 years, he circulated his orders and distributed his soldiers in all directions. And we need him today. Text 33. As the ruler of the entire universe, Emperor Bharata had the opulences of a great kingdom and unconquerable soldiers. His sons and family had seemed to him to be his entire life. But finally, he thought of all this as an impediment to spiritual advancement, and therefore he ceased from enjoying it. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Bharata had incomparable opulence in sovereignty, soldiers, sons, daughters, and everything for material enjoyment. But when he realized that all such material opulences were useless for spiritual advancement, he retired from material enjoyment. The Vedic civilization enjoins that after a certain age, following in the footsteps of Maharaj Bharata, one should cease to enjoy material opulences and should take the order of Vanaprastha. Text 34. O King Parikshit, Maharaj Bharata had three pleasing wives, who were daughters of the king of Vidarbha. When all three of them bore children who did not resemble the king, these wives thought that he would consider them unfaithful queens and reject them, and therefore they killed their own sons. Oh my God, terrible. Text 35. The king, his attempt for progeny, frustrated in this way, performed a sacrifice named Marud Stoma to get a son. The demigods known as the Maruds, being fully satisfied with him, then presented him a son named Bharadvaja. Text 36. When the demigod named Brihaspati was attracted by his brother's wife, Mamata, who at the time was pregnant, he desired to have sexual relations with her. The son within her womb forbade this, but Brihaspati cursed him and forcibly discharged semen into the womb of Mamata. Oh, that's really gross. Purports. The sex impulse is so strong in this material world that even Brihaspati, who is supposed to be the priest of the demigods and a very learned scholar, wanted to have a sexual relationship with his brother's pregnant wife. Oh, horrible. This can happen even in the society of the higher demigods. So, what to speak of human society? The sex impulse is so strong that it can agitate even a learned personality like Brihaspati. Text 37. Mamata very much feared being forsaken by her husband for giving birth to an illegitimate son, and therefore she considered giving up the child. But then the demigod solved the problem by enunciating a name for the child. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Vedic scripture, whenever a child is born, there are some ceremonies known as Jata Karma and Nama Karana, in which learned brahmanas, immediately after the birth of the child, make a horoscope according to astrological calculations. But the child to which Mamata gave birth was begotten by Brihaspati irreligiously. For although Mamata was the wife of Uttatya, Brihaspati made her pregnant by force. Therefore, Brihaspati became Bharta. According to Vedic culture, the wife is considered the property of her husband, and a son born by illicit sex is called Dvaja. The common word still current in Hindu society for such a son is Dogla, which refers to a son not begotten by the husband of his mother. In such a situation, it is difficult to give the child a name according to proper regulative principles. Mamata, therefore, was perplexed, but the demigods gave the child the appropriate name, Bharadwaja, which indicated that the child born illegitimately should be maintained by both Mamata and Brihaspati. Well, that's good news. Text 38. Brihaspati said to Mamata, "You foolish woman, although this child was born from the wife of one man through the semen discharged by another, you should maintain him." One second. You should maintain him. Upon hearing this, Mamata replied, "Oh, Brihaspati, you maintain him." After speaking this way, Brihaspati and Mamata both left. Thus the child was known as Bharatvaja. Text 39. Although encouraged by the demigods to maintain the child, Mamata considered him useless because of his illicit birth, and therefore she left him. Consequently, the demigods, known as the Maruts, maintained the child, and when Maharaj Bharata was disappointed for want of a child, this child was given to him as his son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From this verse, it is understood that those who are rejected from the higher planetary system are given a chance to take birth in the most exalted families on this planet Earth. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta Purport of the ninth canto, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Dynasty of Puru. Chapter 21, The Dynasty of Bharata. The 21st chapter describes the dynasty born from Maharaj Bharata, the son of Maharaja Dushmanta, and it also describes the glories of Rantideva, Ajamida, and others. The son of Bharadwaja was Manu, and Manu's sons were Rihat Shatra, Jaya, Mahavirya, Nara, Garga. Of these five, Nara had a son named Sankriti, who had two sons named Guru and Rantideva. As an exalted devotee, Rantideva saw every living entity in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he completely engaged his mind, his words, and his very self in the service of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Rantideva was so exalted that he would sometimes give away his own food in charity, and he and his family would fast. Once, after Rantideva spent 48 days fasting, not even drinking water. Well, that's hard to believe. but we'll believe it. Excellent food made with ghee was brought to him. But when he was about to eat it, a Brahmana guest appeared. Rantideva therefore did not eat the food, but instead immediately offered a portion of it to the Brahmana. Hmm. When the Brahmana left, and Rantideva was just about to eat the remnants of the food, a Sudra appeared. Rantideva therefore divided the remnants between the Sudra and himself. Again, when he was just about to eat the remnants of the food, another guest appeared. Rantideva therefore gave the rest of the food to the new guest and was about to content himself with drinking the water to quench his thirst. But this also was precluded, for a thirsty guest came, and Rantideva gave him the water. This was all ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just to glorify his devotee and show how tolerant a devotee is in rendering service to the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being extremely pleased with Rantideva, entrusted him with very confidential service. The special power to render the most confidential service is entrusted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to a pure devotee, not to ordinary devotees. Garga, the son of Bharadwaja, had a son named Sini, and Sini's son was Gargya. Although Gargya was a Kshatriya by birth, his sons became Brahmanas. The son of Mahavirya was Durittakshaya, whose sons were Triyaruni, Kavi, Pushkararuni. Although these three sons were born of a Kshatriya king, they also achieved the position of Brahmanas. The son of Brihatkshatra constructed the second, let's see what this page is, the city of Hastinapura, and was known as Hasti. His sons were Ajamidya, Dvimidya, and Puru Midya. From Ajamidya came Priya Medya and other Brahmanas, and also a son named Brihadisu. The sons, grandsons, and further descendants of Brihadishu were Brihadanu, Brihadkaya, Jayadratha, Vishada, and Siyanajit. From Sayanajit came four sons: Ruchirasva, Dridhahanu, Kasya, and Vatsya. From Ruchirasva came a son named Para, whose sons were Pritasena and Nipa, and from Nipa came 100 sons. Another son of Nipa was Brahmadatta. From Brahmadatta came Vishvaksena. from Vishvaksena, Udaksena, and from Udaksena, Balaata. The son of Dvimidha was Yavinara, and from Yavinara came many sons and grandsons, such as Kritiman, Satyavriti, and Dridhanemi, Suparvishva, Sumati, Sanatiman, Kriti, Nipa, Udgrayuda, Shemya, Suvira, Ripunjaya, and Bahurata. Purumita had no sons, but Ajamita, in addition to his other sons, had a son named Nila, whose son was Santi. The descendants of Santi were San Santi, Puruja, Arka, and Brahm and Barmayasva. Barmarasya had 5 sons, one of whom, Mudgala, begot a dynasty of the Brahmanas. Mudgala had twins, a son, Devodasa, and a daughter, Ahalya. From Ahalya, by her husband, Gotama, Satananda was born. The son of Satananda was Satyadriti, and his son was Saradvan. Saradvan's son was known as Kripa, and Saradvan's daughter, known as Kripi, became the wife of Dronacharya. Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, because Bharadraja was delivered by the Marut demigods, he was known as Vitata. The son of Vitata was Manu, and from Manu came 5 sons. Brihaksatra, Jaya, Mahavirya, Nara, and Garga. Of these 5, the one known as Nara had a son named Sankriti. Text 2. O Maharaj Parikshit, descendants of Pandu, Sankriti, had 2 sons named Guru and Rantideva. Rantideva is famous on both this world and the next, for he is glorified not only in human society, but also in the society of the demigods. Well, we have our Rantideva also. Text 3-5. Rantideva never endeavored to earn anything. He would enjoy whatever he got by the arrangement of providence. Whenever it says providence, it's by the mercy of the Lord. But when guests came, he would give them everything. Thus he underwent considerable suffering, along with the members of his family. Indeed, he and his family members shivered for want of food and water. Yet Rantideva always remained sober. Once, after fasting 48 days, in the morning, Rantideva received some water and some foodstuffs made with milk and ghee. But when he and his family were about to eat, a Brahmana guest arrived. Wow. Text 6. Because Rantideva perceived the presence of the Supreme Godhead everywhere and in every living entity. He received the guest with faith and respect and gave him a share of the food. The Brahmana guest ate his share and then went away. Purport. Rantideva perceived the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living being, but he never thought that because the Supreme Lord is present in every living being must be God, nor did he distinguish between one living being and another. He perceived the presence of the Lord both in the Brahmana and in the Chandala. This is the true vision of equality, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 5:18. Vidya vinaye sampane brahmane davihastam. Suni chaiva swapaka cha pandita sama arsina. The humble stage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cat, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater or outcast. A pandita or learned person perceives the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living being. Therefore, although it has now become fashionable to give preference to the so-called Daritra Narayana or poor Narayana, Ranti Deva had no reason to give preference to any one person. The idea that because Narayana is present in the heart of one who is a Daritra or poor, the poor man should be called Daritra Narayana is a wrong conception. By such logic, because the Lord is present within the hearts of the dogs and hogs, the dogs and hogs would also be Narayana. One should not mistakenly think that Rantideva subscribed to this view. Rather, he saw everyone as part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari Sambandhi Vastuna. It is not that everyone is the Supreme Godhead. Such a theory, which is propounded by the Mayavada philosophy, is always misleading, and Rantideva would never have accepted it. Text number 7. Thereafter, having divided the remaining food with his relatives, Rantideva was just about to eat his own share when a Sudra guest arrived. Seeing the Sudra in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Rantideva gave him also a share of the food. Purport. Because King Rantideva saw everyone as part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never distinguished between the Brahmanas and the Sudra, the Brahmana and the Sudra, the poor and the rich. Such equal vision is called Samadarshina, Pandita Samadarshina. One who has actually realized that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart and that every living being is part of the Lord does not make any distinction between the Brahmana and the Sudra, the poor, the Ridra, and the rich, Dhani. Such a person sees all living beings equally and treats them equally without discrimination. Very important statement. Text 8. When the Sudra went away, another guest arrived, surrounded by dogs, and said, O king, I and my company of dogs are very hungry. Please give us something to eat. Text number 9. With great respect, King Rantideva offered the balance of the food to the dogs and the master of the dogs, who had come as guests. The king offered them all respects and obeisances. Text number 10. After only the drinking water remained, and there was only enough to satisfy one person. But when the king was just about to drink it, a Chandala appeared and said, O king, although I am lowborn, although I am lowborn, kindly give me some drinking water. Text 11. Aggrieved at hearing the pitiable words of the poor, fatigued Chandala, Maharaj Rantideva spoke the following nectarian words. Purport. Maharaj Rantideva's words were like amrita, or nectar, and therefore, aside from rendering bodily service to an aggrieved person by his words alone, the king could save the life of anyone who might hear them. Text 12. I do not pray. One second. I do not pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, nor for salvation from repeated birth and death. I want only to stay among all the living entities and suffer all distresses on their behalf, so that they may be freed from suffering. Wow, that's a wonderful statement. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Vasudeva Datta made a similar statement to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requesting the Lord to liberate all living entities in his presence. Vasudeva Datta submitted that if they were unfit to be liberated, he himself would take all their sinful reactions and suffer personally so that the Lord might deliver them. A Vaishnava is therefore described as being Paradukha Dukhi, very much aggrieved by the suffering of others. As such, Vasudeva engages in activities for the real welfare of human society. Text 13. By offering my water to maintain the life of this poor Chandala, who is struggling to live, I have been freed from all hunger, thirst, fatigue, trembling of the body, moroseness, distress, lamentation, and illusion. Wow, what a nice statement that is. Having spoken thus, King Rantideva, although on the verge of death because of thirst, gave his own portion of water to the Chandala without hesitation, for the king was naturally very kind and sober. Text 15. Demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who can satisfy all materially ambitious men by giving them the rewards they desire, then manifested their own identities before King Rantideva. for it was they who had presented themselves as the Brahmana, Sudra, Chandala, and so on. Text 16. King Rantideva had no ambition to enjoy material benefits from the demigod. He offered them obeisances, but because he was factually attached to Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he fixed his mind at that Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Narottam Das Thakura's son, Anya Devar Shraya Nai Tomare Kahinu Pai. Hey Bhakti Parama Karana. If one wants to become a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, one should not hanker to take benedictions from the demigods, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Kamaistaistar Chittagyana Prapadyante Nya Devata. Those be fooled by the illusion of material energy worships gods other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although Rantideva was personally able to see Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, he did not hanker to take material benefits from them. Rather, he fixed his mind upon Lord Vasudeva and remembered devotional service unto him. And rendered devotional service unto him. This is the sign of a pure devotee whose heart is not adulterated by material desires. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karma dhyanagratam anakulyena krishnana saranam bhakti uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Okay, very nice. Text 17. O Maharaj Pariksit, because King Rantideva was a pure devotee, always Krishna conscious and free from all material desires, the Lord's illusory energy, Maya, could not exhibit herself before him. On the contrary, for him, Maya entirely vanished, exactly like a dream. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As it is said, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakara. Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Mayara Adhikara. Just as there is no chance that the darkness can exist in the sunshine, in a pure Krishna conscious person, there can be no existence of Maya. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Gaivihi esa gunamani mama maya diratya evaye prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. If one wants to be free from the influence of Maya, the illusory energy, one must become Krishna conscious and always keep Krishna prominent within the core of his heart. In Bhagavad Gita 9:34, the Lord advises that one always think of him. Man manababa madbaktu, madgyachimam namaskuru. In this way, by always being Krishna minded or Krishna conscious, one can surpass the influence of Maya. Mayam etam tarantite. Because Rantideva was Krishna conscious, he was not under the influence of the illusory energy. The word swapnavat is significant in this connection because in the material world, the mind is absorbed in materialistic activities. When one is asleep, many contradictory activities appear in one's dreams. When one awakens, however, these activities automatically merge into the mind. Similarly, as long as one is under the influence of the material energy, he makes many plans and schemes. But when one is Krishna conscious, such dreamlike plans automatically disappear. Text 18. All those who followed the principles of King Rantideva were totally favored by his mercy and became pure devotees attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Thus, they all became the best of yogis. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The best yogis or mystics are the devotees, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 647. Yoginam api sarve sam madgatamantaratmanam shadavam bhajate yomam samayuktatamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The best yogi is he who constantly thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart. Because Rantideva was the king, the chief executive in the state, all the residents of the state became devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, by the king's transcendental association. This is the influence of a pure devotee. If there is one pure devotee, his association can create hundreds and thousands of pure devotees. Very important statement. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery of words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. Here the word Rantidevanavartina indicates that Rantideva's officers, friends, relatives, and subjects all became first-class Vaishnavas by his association. In other words, Rantideva is confirmed herein to be a first-class devotee or Mahabhagavata. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukte. One should render service to such a Mahatma, for then one will automatically achieve the goal of liberation. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has also said, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payeche Keve. One cannot be liberated by his own effort, but if one becomes subordinate to a pure Vaishnava, the door to liberation is open. Text 19 and 20. Second. From Garga came a son named Sini, and his son was Gargya. Although Gargya was a Kshatriya, there came from him a generation of Brahmanas. From Mahavirya came a son named Duritakshaya, whose sons were Chayaruni, Kavi, and Pushkararuni. Although these sons of Duritakshaya took birth in a dynasty of Kshatriyas, they too attained the position of Brahmanas. Brihatkshatra had a son named Hasti, who established the city of Hastinapura, now New Delhi. Text 21. From King Hasti came three sons named Ajamida, Dvimida, and Purumida. The descendants of Ajamida, headed by Priyameda, all achieved the position of Brahmanas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse gives evidence confirming the statement of Bhagavad Gita that the orders of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, are calculated in terms of qualities and activities. Guna, karma, vibhagasa. All the descendants of Ajamita, who was a Kshatriya, became Brahmanas. This was certainly because of their qualities and activities. Similarly, sometimes the sons of Brahmanas or Kshatriyas become Vaishyas. Brahmana Vaishyatam Gata. When a Kshatriya or Brahmana adopts the occupation of or duty of a Vaishya, Krishi Goraksha Vanijam, he is certainly counted as a Vaishya. On the other hand, if one is born in a Vaishya family, but his activities, if one is born a Vaishya, by his activities, he can become a Brahmana. This is confirmed by Narada Muni. Yasya Yal Lakshana Proktam. The members of the Varnas and social orders, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, must be ascertained by their symptoms, not by birth. Birth is immaterial. Quality is essential. There you go. Very profound statement. Birth is immaterial. Quality is essential. Yeah, there's so many nonsense people that say that if you're born as a Sudra, you have to wait till after you die to become maybe a Brahmana or something like that. Crazy concepts like that. Text 22. From Ajamita came a son named Brihadisu. From Brihadisu came a son named Brihadanu. From Brihadanu, a son named Brihatkaya. And from Brihatkaya, a son named Jayadratha. Text 23. The son of Jayadratha was Visada, and his son was Siyenajit. The sons of Siyenajit were Ruchiraswa, Drihadanu, Drihad, Anu, Kasya, and Vatsa. Text 24. The sons of Rava was Para, and the sons of Para were Prihusena and Nipa. Nipa had 100 sons. King Nipa begot a son named Brahmadatta through the womb of his wife Prithvi, who was the daughter of Sukha. And Brahmadatta, who was a great yogi, begot a son named Vishwaksena through the womb of his wife Saraswati. Wow, very, uh, very high-level people. Purport: Sukha, the Sukha mentioned here is different from the Sukadeva Goswami who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great detail in the Brahma Vivarta Purana. There it is said that Vyasadeva maintained the daughter of Jamila as his wife, and that after they performed penances together for many years, he placed a seed in her womb. The child remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years. And when the father asked the son to come out, the son replied that he would not come out unless he were completely liberated from the influence of Maya. Vyasadeva then assured the child that he would not be influenced by Maya. But the child did not believe his father, for the father was still attached to his wife and children. Oh boy. Vyasadeva then went to Dwarka and informed the personality of Godhead about his problem. And the personality of Godhead, at Vasudeva's request, went to Vyasadeva's cottage, where he assured the child in the womb that he would not be influenced by Maya. Thus assured, the child came out, but he immediately went away as a Parivrakacharya. When the father, very much aggrieved, began to follow his saintly boy, Sukadeva Goswami, the boy, created a duplicate, Sukadeva. I never knew that before. Who later entered family life. Therefore, Sukha Kanya, or daughter of Sukadeva, mentioned in this verse, is the daughter of the duplicate or imitation Sukadeva. The original Sukadeva was a lifelong brahmachari. Wow, I didn't know that. It's something new. Text 26. Following the instructions of the great sage Jayagish Savya, Vishwaksena compiled an elaborate description of the mystic yoga system. From Vishwaksena, Udakshena was born, and from Udakshena, Bala Atta. All these sons were known as descendants of Rihadisu. Text 27. The son of Dvivimida was Yavvinara, whose son was Kritiman. The son of Kritiman was well known as Satyadriti. From Satyadriti came a son named Dridhanemi, Dridhanemi, who became the father of Suparvisva. Suparvisva, yeah. Suparsava, I'm sorry. Suparsava. From Suparsava came a son named Sumati. From Sumati came Sanantiman, and from Sanantiman came Kriti, who achieved mystic power from Brahma and taught 6 samhitas of the Prachasama verses of the Sama Veda. The son of Kriti was Nipa, the son of Nipi, Udgrayuda, the son of Udgrayuda, Kshemya, the son of Kshemya, Survira, and the son of Survira, Ripunjaya. Text 30. From Ripunjaya came a son named Bahurata. Purumida was sonless. Ajamida had a son named Nila by his wife known as Nalini, and the son of Nila was Santi. Text 31 to 33. The son of Santi was Susanti. The son of Susanti was Puruja, and the son of Puruja was Arka. From Arka came Bar Miyaswa, Bar Miyaswa, and from Bar Miyaswa came 5 sons: Mudgala, Yavinara, Brihad Viswa, Kampila, and Sanjaya. Vari Yaswa prayed to his sons, O my sons, please take charge of my 5 states, for you are quite competent to do so. Thus his 5 sons were known as the Panchalas. Panchalas. From Mudgala came a dynasty of Brahmanas known as Mudgalya. Text 34. Mudgala, the son of Varmyaswa, had twin children, one male and the other female. The male child was named Devodasa, and the female child was named Ahalya. From the womb of Ahalya, by the semen of her husband Gautama, came a son named Satananda. The son of Satananda was Satyadriti, who was expert in archery, and the son of Satyadriti was Saradvan. When Saradvan met Urvasi, he discharged semen, which fell on a clump of sara grass. From this semen were born 2 all auspicious babies, one male and the other female. While Maharaja Santanu was on a hunting excursion, he saw the male and female children lying in the forest, and out of compassion, he took them home. Consequently, the male child was known as Kripa, and the female child was named Kripi. Kripi later became the wife of Dronacharya. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 19th to 21st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Dynasty of Bharata. So I think our time is up, right?
No, we are at time.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll stop right there and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Chapter 22, the descendants of Ajamida. Ajamida, yeah. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are there any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Our takeaway for today is the following. One second, find it. One second, still haven't found what I'm looking for. Okay, the takeaway for today is Canto 9, Chapter 21, text number 18, which says in the purport, first of all, we'll read the translation. All those who followed the principles of King Rantideva were totally favored by his mercy and became pure devotees, attached to the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana. Okay. Purport. The best yogis or mystics are the devotees, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesam madgatanantaratmanam shadavam bhajate yomam sa me yukatamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The best yogi is he who constantly thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead. Within the core of his heart. Because Rantideva was the king, the chief executive in the state, all the residents of the state became devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, by the king's transcendental association. This is the influence of a pure devotee. If there is one pure devotee, his association can create hundreds and thousands of pure devotees. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery of words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. Here the word Ranti Deva Navartina indicates that Rantideva's officers, friends, relatives, and subjects all became first-class Vaishnavas by their association. In other words, Rantideva confirmed herein to be a first-class devotee or Mahabhagavata. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Akur Vinukte. One should render service to such a Mahatma, for then one will automatically achieve the goal of liberation. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura has also said, Shadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payeche Keva. One can be liberated by his own effort, but if one becomes subordinate, one cannot be liberated by his own effort. But if one becomes subordinate to a pure Vaishnava, the door to liberation is open. That is our takeaway for today. That's Canto 9, Chapter 21, text number 18. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Maharaj, in today's purport, by the number of devotees, you bring them close to the Krishna consciousness, right? But in other lectures, I keep hearing, if you have, not by the number, if you have one qualified person that you bring to the close to the Krishna conscious is enough, not by the number of people you bring. How do I understand this?
Well, the main point is that a Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery of words, but by the number of devotees he can create for the Lord. Okay, so that's the main statement. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery of words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. Here, the word Ranti Devan Vartina indicates that Ranti Deva's officers, friends, relatives, and subjects all became first-class Vaishnavas by his association. In other words, Ranti Deva is confirmed herein to be a first-class devotee or Mahabhagavata. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahor Vimukte. One should render service to such Mahatmas, for then one will automatically achieve the goal of liberation. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakur has also said, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payecha Keva. One cannot be liberated by his own effort, but if one becomes subordinate to a pure Vaishnava, the door to liberation is open. All right, so this explains that it says, because Rantideva was the king, the chief executive in the state, all the residents of the state became devotees of the Supreme Personality Godhead Narayana by the king's transcendental association. This is the influence of a pure devotee. If there is one pure devotee, his association can create hundreds and thousands of pure devotees. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery or words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. Here the word Ranti Devan Vartina indicates that Ranti Deva's officers, friends, relatives, and subjects all became first-class Vaishnavas by his association. In other words, Ranti Deva is confirmed herein to be a first-class devotee or Mahabhagavata. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vibhakte. One should render service to such Mahatmas, for then one will automatically achieve the goal of liberation. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakur has also said, Shadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Vayachekeva. One cannot be liberated by its own effort, but if one becomes subordinate to a pure Vaishnava, the door to liberation is open. So the takeaway for today is this statement. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by jugglery of words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. There it is. That's the statement for today.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Haribol. Okay, well, thank you very much, my dear devotees. Please try and make at least one person a pure devotee, and then you're going to go back to God. And if you make many more people devotees, that's even better. But if you make only one person a pure devotee, you definitely go back to Godhead. Haribol, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. I think we'll stop there on these very important statements. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.